My name is Casey. Welcome to the iHeart Latin channel, lesson number 12, where we are introducing third conjugation verbs. So recall that verbs belong to families called conjugations. We've talked about first conjugation verbs, second conjugation verbs. So today we're talking about the family of verbs that belong to the third conjugation. You'll notice as we walk through it, there are both some similarities to the first and second conjugation and some pretty big differences. So let's jump right into it. Let's look at our model verbs up here. I put two verbs that belong to the third conjugation up here on the board. The first one is mito, mitere, misi, missus, which means to send. And the second one is duco, ducere, duxi, ductus, meaning lead. So you'll notice that these third conjugation verbs, if you look at the second principal part, mitere, they look very similar to second conjugation verbs. The only difference being that the first E in the ERE is short and not long. So remember, in the second conjugation, the second principal parts will also end in ERE. However, it will be a long E with the macron, the line over the E, versus a short E. And that's really the only way you can tell the difference between the second and third conjugation. Is you look at that second principal part, if the E is long, has the macron, it belongs in the second conjugation. If it's short, no macron, it belongs to the third conjugation. So we look at these, we see no macron over this E here, and we know that it belongs to the third conjugation. So if I want to find the stem in the third conjugation, I follow the pattern of the first and second. I'm going to drop the ERE from the second principal part. This is my infinitive, so meaning to send, to lead. So I'm just going to drop this ERE here, and that will give me the stem MITT. I'm going to drop this ERE here, and so for this verb meaning to lead, the stem will be DUC, duk. Let's talk for a minute about the tenses, the verb tenses we already know. So we've looked at the present, the imperfect, and the future indicative active. And remember that indicative just means I'm making a statement or asking a question. Active means that the subject is performing the action versus receiving the action. So let's look for a second at the present, and then we'll look at the imperfect and the future tense, and we'll see some similarities, we'll see some differences. So recall that in the first conjugation, your conjugating vowel that you use to create your verb forms is an A. Remember that in the second conjugation, the vowel that you use to make your verb forms, the conjugating vowel, is an E. So you would think, okay, in the third conjugation, the conjugating vowel is going to be an I. And that is true, sort of, at least in the present tense. So look up here on the board. So here are the endings to create the forms for the present tense in the third conjugation. Normally, I would just have OST, mustus, und. I would just have the personal signs up there. However, I've included the conjugating vowel in here because it changes when we kind of hop around from tense to tense. So if I want to make a present tense form of a third conjugation verb, I would attach an O at the end if it's first person singular, an IS if it's second person singular, an IT if it's third person singular, imus if it's first person plural, itus if it's second person plural, und, so now you'll notice that the I goes away and it's now a U if it's third person plural. So it kind of follows the pattern a little bit, but really you just need to commit this to memory. So for instance, if I wanted to say I send, it would be mito, you send mitis, he, she, or it sends mitit, we send mitimus, you all send mititus, and they send mitunt. So that's the present tense. Now, the imperfect tense is where it gets a little bit tricky. So we have sort of set up this pattern that, okay, now we're using an I for our conjugating vowel. Well, not so fast, because now you can see the endings for the imperfect tense are the same. They follow the pattern of the first and second conjugation, bam, bas, bat, bamas, batis, bant. However, the conjugating vowel is an E, not an I, so it switches. And in that way, it's almost indistinguishable from the second conjugation. So you really have to know which conjugation these verbs belong to. So if I wanted to say I was sending, it would be mitebam. You were sending mitebas. He, she, or it was sending mitebat. We were sending mitebamus. You all were sending metebatis, and they were sending metebant. So that's the imperfect tense. You'll notice that that vowel has switched to an E. Now for the future tense, it gets even crazier. Normally, for the future tense, we would use the endings bo, bis, bit, bimis, bitis, bunt. That's what we're used to seeing in the first and second conjugation. But here we get thrown a total curveball, and you can see that these endings do not follow that pattern. So in the third conjugation, the future tense, looks like this. You would attach these endings to your stem. So if you wanted to say I will send, it would be metam. You will send, metes. He, she, or it will send, metet. We will send, metemus. You will send, metetis. They will send, metent. And again, you just have to commit that to memory. Unfortunately, there's not a pattern that we can fall back on or we can rely on for the third conjugation. So in that way, in my opinion, it's kind of the trickiest. Okay, so let's look at some sentences here. Caesar leads the soldiers. So let's try to plug in the correct form of the verb that we're trying to conjugate. So the first thing I need to do is figure out who or what is my subject. So who or what is this sentence about? It's about Caesar. Caesar is my nominative. Caesar is singular. There's only one Caesar. Is he masculine, feminine, or neuter? Well, obviously he's a man. He's masculine. And is he first, second, or third person? He is third person. It's a he. So I've got a third person singular subject here. Remember that my verb is going to match my subject in number and in person. Next thing we need to do is find the verb. So I'm going to say, what's Caesar doing or being? He's leading. So here's my verb. I've already determined that I'm going to use third person singular endings because they have to agree. And I'm going to look at that verb and I'm going to say, is that present tense, is that imperfect tense, or is that future tense? Well, this is happening right now. So this is the present tense. So I will choose a present tense form of the correct verb there. And then can I answer the question, Caesar leads who or what? Do I have a direct object? Yes, I do. Caesar leads the soldiers. This is my accusative case. Soldiers is plural. Is it masculine, feminine, or neuter? It is masculine. It is a traditional manly job. So let's put this all together. We'll start out with our subject, which is Caesar. So Caesar, Caesar is third declension noun. That's the nominative singular ending right there. My verb's going to come last. So my accusative will come next. An accusative plural form of soldiers. So that's another third declension noun, miles, milites. And the accusative ending there would be es, milites. And then I need to find a third person singular present tense form for the word lead. So I got to find my stem. I already did that. I know that it's D-U-C, Duke. So I'll put my stem in there. Now normally, if this were the first or second conjugation, I'd just slap my conjugating vowel in there because it's regular. However, in the third conjugation, it's not. So I can't just plop a conjugating vowel in there. I need to think about which tense it is and which vowel to use. So it's present tense. I will come down here. It is third person singular. So third person singular, it's going to be IT. So I've got D-U-C-I-T. So Caesar milites ducit. Okay, let's look at this next one. You, plural, were leading the soldiers. So again, I need to find my subject, which is you. That's who the sentence is about, who's doing the leading. Is it singular or plural? Well, I've already determined that it's plural. Is it masculine, feminine, or neuter? Well, remember with pronouns in the first or second, pronouns of the first or second person, we don't need to really worry too much about gender. What are you doing? You were leading. There's my verb. We've already, sorry, this is second person. So we've determined that we're going to use second person plural personal endings there. If we look at this verb form, is it present, imperfect, or future? Is it happening now? Was it happening in the past with this idea that maybe the action is continuing? You were leading and maybe you're still leading? Or is it future? Something is going to happen in time yet to come. So we look at this and we know, okay, this happened in the past. It's imperfect. So we're going to use imperfect forms there. And then can I say you were leading who or what? You were leading the soldiers. Yes. Same accusative, plural. masculine form there. So since I have a first or second person pronoun here, I can lump all of these words into one, and I can start with my accusative. So my word for soldiers in the accusative is milites, accusative third declension. So we'll start there. And then you were leading. So I need my stem, which I've determined is D, U, C. And then I need to find imperfect second person plural form for the word lead. So I know I've already found my stem, which is D, U, C. And then I'm going to look down here at my chart. So imperfect second person plural. Actually, all of these are long E's. All right, just add those in. Boink, whap. And so second person plural is going to be e batis. So duque batis. So that's what this verb form would look like. Our last sentence here, let's look at this one. So again, I'm going to start out by finding my subject. What's the sentence about? It's about I, so that is my nominative. It is singular. It is first person. What am I doing or being? I'm leading, so here's my verb form. I've already determined that I need first person singular, first person singular form for this verb. And if I look at this verb, is it happening now? Is it present, imperfect, or future? So is it happening now? Did it happen in the past? Or will it happen in the future? Well, obviously it will happen in the future. It's future tense. So when I conjugate this, I will look for a future tense first person singular form for this word here. And then we've already kind of established, can I answer the question, I will lead who or what? The soldiers, yes. So again, this is a direct object, it's accusative, it's plural, and it is masculine. So again, because this is a first or second person pronoun, I can wrap all this into one, because my verb ending will tell me who's performing the action. So I can start with my accusative. Remember that the verbs come last. My accusative form for miles, milites is milites. So there's my word for soldiers. And then I will lead. So again, I need my stem, which is D, U, C. And now I've got future tense, first person singular. So I'm going to look over here. So here's my future tense endings for the third conjugation. First person singular is AM. So I will put that on the end of my stem, and it would be milites ducam, I will lead the soldiers. So that's the tricky third conjugation. You just have to commit all of those possible endings to memory. Once you start memorizing these things, you will start to see some patterns emerging. In the beginning, I know it's a little bit tedious, but just do the work. You'll be grateful that you did. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. That helps me out. If you have a question, you can leave it in the comments section. I'll do my best to get back to you. Also, hit the bell if you want to be notified when there are new episodes. Again, thanks for watching. Keep studying. Walate.